When life feels dim, it's not the absence of light that haunts us most. It's the forgetting that we carry the spark within. You were never made to shrink into the shadows or wait for someone else to hand you a torch. You are the torch. You are the flame. You are the one destined to set your life ablaze, to ignite your spirit, and to light up the very path you're meant to walk with unwavering fire in your eyes. This is not about waiting for a moment to come. It's about becoming the moment. The moment you rise, the moment you decide, the moment you stop dimming and start glowing. Every single day you wake up is a vote of confidence from the universe. You have breath, you have time, you have choice. What you do with it becomes the rhythm of your existence, the legacy you carve into the lives you touch, and the echo you leave behind long after the lights go out. But this isn't about legacy yet, it's about right now. Right now is everything. This second, this breath, this heartbeat, it holds the potential for transformation beyond your imagination. You're not powerless. You're not broken. You're just waking up. You're just beginning to see what's been waiting for you all along. Your light, your inner light is your power. It's already within you. This single truth has the capacity to completely transform how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. From the moment you were born, you carried a spark inside you, a knowing, a fire, an energy that was untouched by opinions, untouched by circumstances, and untouched by fear. But over time, the world taught you to look outside yourself for that spark. You were trained to believe that confidence comes from other people's validation, that happiness is found in things, and that purpose must be discovered in distant places, yet none of that is real. The truth is, the light you've been searching for has always lived within you. It's in your breath. It's in your heartbeat. It's in your soul. You never lost it. You just stopped looking inward long enough to see it. When you begin to understand that your light is not something you have to earn or wait for, everything shifts. You no longer beg for attention. You radiate presence. You no longer need to compare yourself. You become so rooted in your own power that the only competition that exists is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. And this kind of shift doesn't require a dramatic moment. It doesn't require applause or external proof. It starts in silence, in the still moments where you reconnect with your own truth. It starts when you wake up one morning and say, enough, I'm done dimming, I'm done shrinking, I'm done waiting for the world to tell me who I am. That declaration alone begins the ignition. This light within you isn't about being the loudest in the room or the most perfect. It's about being in alignment. It's about knowing that when you speak from your heart, move with purpose, and live with authenticity, your energy becomes unstoppable. People feel it before you speak a word. You walk into a room and something shifts, not because of how you look or what you have, but because you're owning who you are from the inside out. That's light. That's power. And no one can take that from you. No rejection, no failure, no disappointment can dim a light that is internally fueled. Sometimes the reason we feel stuck or empty is because we've been looking everywhere but inside. We try to find something to complete us, someone to make us feel enough, or something external to validate our existence. But the moment you return home to yourself, you realize you already are everything you thought you had to chase. The light within you is not a flicker, it's a flame. It might have been covered, ignored, or forgotten, but it was never gone. And now it's time to remember. To peel back the layers of doubt, fear, and conditioning, to reclaim the truth that you were born with a purpose and a glow that's uniquely yours. The more you nurture that light, the more it grows, through self-love, through honest reflection, through bold action, and through unwavering faith in who you're becoming. Your glow doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Your power doesn't need to be loud to be real. Sometimes it's in your softness, in your grace, in your resilience. Sometimes it's in your ability to rise again and again when no one's watching. And that's what makes it sacred. That's what makes it unshakable. When your light comes from within, you don't just shine, you radiate, you become a beacon. You don't wait for light to arrive, you become it. You said, explain 2 keynote in the 600 words and don't add subheading. ChatGPT said, lighting up your life begins with a conscious decision. Nothing changes until you decide it will. The power of choice is one of the most underestimated forces we possess. So many people wait for the right moment, the perfect conditions, or the validation of others to begin living boldly. But the truth is, that moment will never arrive until you create it. You have to choose yourself. You have to decide that you are worthy of more, that you are tired of living beneath your potential, and that you are ready to see what life looks like when you stop holding back. That decision doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be seen by anyone else. It can be quiet. It can be internal. But it must be real. It must be rooted in a deep desire to evolve, to grow, and to glow from the inside out. The difference between someone who lives fully lit and someone who stays in the shadows often comes down to one moment of decision. That moment where they say, I'm done living a half-life. I'm done letting fear control me. I'm ready to start showing up. That's where transformation begins. Not when you have all the answers. Not when you feel fully confident. Not when you think you're finally good enough. It begins when you dare to take one step forward even when you don't know what's next. It begins when you choose faith over fear, courage over comfort, purpose over procrastination. That decision becomes the switch that lights up your inner power and guides you toward the life you were meant to live. When you choose to light up your life, you're not pretending everything is perfect. You're not faking positivity. You're choosing to rise despite imperfection. You're choosing to believe that even in the midst of uncertainty, you can move forward. That even if your voice shakes, you can still speak your truth. That even if you've failed before, you can still succeed. It's a declaration that your past does not define your future and that your light is not dependent on what you've been through, but on what you choose right now. One decision can change your entire direction. One bold moment of clarity can realign your path. And that decision doesn't need to be easy, it just needs to be honest. Are you living the life you want or the life you've settled for? Are you aligned with your truth or just surviving your routine? When you begin to ask yourself these questions and answer them with honesty, you open the door to real, lasting transformation. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to start where you are with what you have and who you are becoming. Every day you have a chance to decide again, to wake up and say, today I choose my light. Not because life is perfect, but because you're no longer willing to let circumstances dim your spirit. You are not powerless. You are powerful. And the moment you take ownership of your energy, your choices, and your future, you begin to feel the shift. You begin to move differently. You begin to attract differently. You begin to shine, not because of something outside of you, but because of what's been burning inside of you all along. That fire is real. That choice is yours. And every moment you choose to live lit, you become the evidence that light lives within. You said, explain 3 keynote into 600 words and don't add subheading. ChatGPT said, your story, including your struggles, is what makes your light unique. The very things you thought disqualified you are actually the elements that give you unmatched power. The heartbreaks, the rejections, the lonely nights, the internal battles, none of it was meaningless. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived what tried to break you. Every moment of pain you've walked through has refined the strength within you. You didn't just make it, you grew through it. And in that growth, your light was being shaped. It wasn't in the easy moments that you became powerful. It was in the times you were forced to rise without a cheerleader. To believe in yourself when no one else did. To keep moving forward when your soul felt tired. That's the source of real radiance. We often look at others and think their shine comes from perfection, but that shine you admire usually comes from someone who dared to keep going when they had every reason to quit. The most magnetic people are not those who've never struggled. They're the ones who took their pain and turned it into power. They didn't hide their story. They used it. They found strength in their vulnerability, and in doing so gave others permission to do the same. That's what you're capable of. Your story isn't a weakness. It's your gift. It's your human truth. And when you embrace it instead of running from it, you begin to illuminate with authenticity that no one can fake. It's easy to think that only the polished parts of you deserve to be seen, that only when you're thriving, smiling, and successful should you step into the light. But your glow doesn't come from perfection, it comes from your willingness to be real, to show up even with shaky hands, to speak your truth even when your voice cracks, to walk into rooms fully as yourself, not the version you think people will accept. That's what makes your light impossible to ignore. Not that you're flawless, but that you're genuine, that you own every chapter of your story without shame. There's someone right now who needs your story, not your highlight reel, not your filtered image, your real unedited journey. They need to hear how you struggled and still stood up. They need to see how you doubted yourself and still moved forward. They need to feel your truth so they can believe in their own path. Your vulnerability becomes someone else's hope. Your courage becomes someone else's blueprint. Your voice becomes someone else's blueprint. Your voice becomes someone else's reminder that they are not alone. And when you start seeing your story as your superpower, everything changes. You stop wishing you had someone else's life. You stop apologizing for the path you've taken. You start honoring the strength it took to get here. And in that honoring, your light grows. It expands beyond what you ever imagined because it's no longer trying to be something else. It's grounded in truth. It's rooted in resilience. It's fueled by authenticity. That kind of light is unshakable. You don't need to erase your past to shine. You need to embrace it. Everything you've been through was building the character, compassion, and clarity you now carry. That's what makes your glow so different from anyone else's. It's yours, it's honest, it's earned, and when you share it, you don't just inspire, you awaken. You remind others that it's okay to rise slowly, to glow imperfectly, to walk through the fire and still come out shining. That is the kind of light this world needs. Not the kind that pretends, the kind that's been tested and still burns bright. You said, explain 4 keynote into 600 words and don't add subheading. ChatGPT said, you lead by example when you choose to live fully lit. You don't need a title, a stage, or a massive following to make an impact. You don't need to announce that you're inspiring others. You simply need to embody the light that others are searching for. When you walk into a room confident in your truth, when you speak with authenticity, and when you choose love, growth, and purpose over fear and performance, people feel it. Energy doesn't lie. You become a lighthouse, not by trying to be seen, but by standing firmly in your glow. Others may not even realize why they feel different around you, but they do. That's the power of presence. That's the power of alignment. That's the kind of leadership that lasts. Living fully lit doesn't mean you're always upbeat or always have the answers. It means you refuse to live in darkness. It means you choose clarity even when things feel uncertain. It means you honor your intuition even when it doesn't make sense to others. When people see you making choices based on truth instead of approval, they begin to question their own limitations. When they see you prioritizing your peace over chaos, your growth over gossip, and your integrity over trends, they start to realize they can do the same. Your life becomes the quiet invitation for others to rise, not through force or pressure, but through influence born of authenticity. It's not what you say that changes people, it's how you live. It's how you show up when no one's clapping. It's how you keep going when it would be easier to shrink. It's how you stay aligned when the world pulls you to compromise. That kind of light is rare, and that's why it's powerful. It reminds others that it's possible to live a life guided by inner truth instead of outer noise. You become the evidence that you don't have to settle, you don't have to conform, and you don't have to dim your light to fit in. You just have to be brave enough to stand in your glow. We often underestimate how much our energy influences others. You might think no one's watching, but someone is. Someone is being changed simply because you dared to be real. Someone is seeing what it looks like to walk in peace. Someone is learning how to set boundaries because you did. Someone is learning how to believe in themselves because you kept going. That's leadership. That's what it means to light up not just your life, but the path for others. Not through perfection, but through presence. Not through performance, but through purpose. And it's important to know that your light doesn't have to look like anyone else's. The way you lead will be different from the way others do. That's your strength. Some people lead through words, others through energy. Some lead through nurturing, others through boldness. The key is not to copy someone else's glow, it's to discover your own. To ask yourself what lights you up, what moves you, what feels true. And then to live from that place fully, boldly, consistently. That's how you lead. That's how you inspire without trying. Every time you choose to rise when you could fall, to forgive when you could resent, to speak when you could stay silent, you are leading. Every time you choose joy in the midst of heaviness, faith in the face of fear, action in the presence of doubt, you are lighting the way. You may never know the full impact of your light, but trust this, it reaches further than you can see. And the more you live fully lit, the more you awaken that fire in others. That's legacy. That's leadership. That's light in motion. You said, explain 5 keynote into 600 words and don't add subheading. ChatGPT said, lighting up is a daily practice, not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and never revisit. It's a commitment you make to yourself every single day, even on the days when it feels difficult, even when life throws chaos in your path. Because living lit doesn't mean you always feel positive. It means you continually return to your center, to your truth, to your light, no matter what the world hands you. This isn't about a temporary glow up. This is about cultivating a lifelong fire that burns through darkness, through doubt, and through distraction. That kind of fire needs tending. It needs awareness. It needs practice. And most of all, it needs presence. You have to choose your light each morning when you wake up. You have to choose it when you feel tired. You have to choose it when the doubts creep in, when the plans fall apart, when the people you expected to support you walk away. You choose it not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. It's the core of your being, the force that reminds you why you started, the voice that says keep going when everything in you wants to quit. That's the work, that's the practice. You reset, you realign, you return to the power within you, and you move forward again, even if it's just one small step. This is where consistency becomes your superpower, because the world is noisy and it will always try to pull you away from your light. It will tempt you to react instead of reflect. It will pressure you to compare instead of connect. But when you have a daily practice of returning to your inner glow through affirmations, meditation, journaling, movement, silence, or any sacred ritual that grounds you, you build a fortress around your spirit. You begin to cultivate an energy that's stable, not shaken by circumstance, and people can feel that. You feel that. Your days begin to shift, not because the world is different, but because you are walking in it differently. Lighting up is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about meeting yourself honestly with love in whatever space you're in. Some days your light will be soft and subtle. Other days it will be bold and blazing. But it's still your light. It's still sacred, and it still matters. The practice is not in being perfect. It's in showing up for your soul, showing up for your vision, showing up for the version of you that you're growing into. That daily devotion to your energy becomes the fuel for your glow. Some days you will fall. Some days you will feel disconnected. Some days you will question it all. But that doesn't mean your light is gone. It just means it needs attention. Just like a fire needs air, your spirit needs care. You can't expect to shine if you're running on empty. You can't demand brightness if you're never refueling your inner world. So make space. Create rituals. Guard your light. Feed it with truth, with love, with belief, and keep choosing it, especially on the hard days, especially when no one is watching, especially when it would be easier to hide. Because that's what keeps your glow sustainable. That's what turns inspiration into transformation. Not the occasional burst of motivation, but the daily discipline of returning to your power. That's how you stay lit. That's how you lead. That's how you rise again and again, becoming stronger, clearer, and brighter each time. It's not a switch you flip once. It's a rhythm you learn to dance with every single day. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until glowing is no longer something you do, it's who you are. You said, explain 6 keynote into 600 words and don't add subheading. ChatGPT said, you are the catalyst for your own transformation. No one else can flip the switch for you. No one else can give you permission to rise. It starts with you. The moment you recognize that you're not waiting to be saved, not depending on outside circumstances to change, not hoping someone else will show you the way, you take back your power. You become the fire starter of your own evolution. You no longer live at the mercy of other people's decisions or the world's approval. You understand that transformation is not a gift you're given, it's a choice you make, one that begins with a single act of radical self-belief. You may have been through darkness, you may have walked through seasons of silence, confusion, pain, and uncertainty, but none of that has erased your potential. In fact, it has sharpened you. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are not stuck, you are being prepared. Every challenge you've faced, every tear you've cried, every lesson you've learned has been creating depth in you. You've been building the strength required for the next chapter of your life. And now you get to decide that your past is not your prison, it's your preparation, it's your preparation. It didn't end you, it revealed you, it showed you how resilient you are, it showed you what still burns inside of you even after the fire faded. That's not weakness, that's power waiting to be claimed. When you decide to become the catalyst for your own change, you stop living in reaction. You begin to move with intention. You choose to think thoughts that empower you. You speak words that build you. You make decisions that honor the life you truly want to create, and you do it without waiting for validation. You do it because you finally realize you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to create impact. You were meant to live out loud, to lead with presence, to walk with vision. But none of that can happen until you accept that it starts with you. You have to go first. You have to believe in your worth before anyone else can reflect it. You have to take that first uncomfortable step before the path reveals itself. Transformation doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. It requires you to look at your life and say, this no longer reflects who I am or who I want to be, and then choose differently. It means letting go of the old narrative, the outdated identity, the limiting beliefs that kept you small. You can't become who you were meant to be while holding on to the version of you that was built in survival. You're not meant to stay in the same patterns. You're meant to expand. You're meant to evolve. You're meant to rise. And that rise begins when you stop outsourcing your power and begin activating it from within. No one is coming to do it for you, but that's not a burden. It's a gift. Because if it's on you, it means you have control. You can change your energy, you can change your direction, you can change your future. You are not at the mercy of the past. You are the author now. You hold the pen, and with one decision, one breath, one commitment to yourself, everything can shift. You're not waiting for a new life, you're creating it. And the moment you fully accept that role, you become unstoppable. You begin to glow with a different energy, one that is undeniable, unshakable, and unforgettable. You begin to move like someone who knows their light doesn't depend on anything external. You move like someone who understands they are the spark that starts the flame. You are the catalyst, and now is your time to rise.